Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is the Musawwa bin Muhammad, metric number 1812615, and I am your last presenter for today. So guys, we have reached to the end of our seminar IIMP, and so far we have traveled across the globe to many different places, to many different countries, and we see many different architectural and designs, and we learned a little bit about them from the previous presenter. We learned about the designs itself, about the architecture itself, about how it was made, about what it wants to portray to us, and we learned that many people from different places have different tastes of architectural designs. Some of those designs are based on the cultural aspects. Meanwhile, some are based on the religious influence, but most of those designs are based on both, by which is the result of religious and cultural assimilation. Religious assimilation means religious conversion of individuals from a minority faith to a dominant faith. It can also include the religious indoctrination of individuals, the religious indoctrination of children, individuals, into a dominant religion by their converted parents. However, religious assimilation need not involve a wholesale adoption of a dominant religious belief by a minority. Instead, it is understandable enough, the concept is broad enough for us to understand that it is an alteration of frequency of the participants, of the religious participants, to match those of the dominant culture. Meanwhile, cultural assimilation is a process in which a minority group or culture comes to resemble a dominant group or assume the values, behaviors, and beliefs of another group. One of the effects of religious and cultural assimilations are to the immigrants, by which we can see that the effects of religious assimilation is minimal to them, as there are not many changes to their religious belief system as compared to the cultural assimilation, where the effects are much more obvious, where we can see that these immigrants, when they come to a certain places, they get adapted to the surrounding culture. For example, it influences the language that they speak. Other effects of religious and cultural assimilations that we can are to the formation of civilization, where they indirectly contributed to the formation of civilization, because religious and cultural assimilation contribute to architecture and designs, by which architecture and designs are the components for the formation of civilization. So let's talk about Islam. When Islam came to a certain places, Islam does not change the culture of the society. Instead, it is assimilated to its culture, and it gives identity to the culture itself. Religion is one of the factors that help define culture. There are cultures in which religions are the primary defining factor, but in many cultures it does not matter. What we may identify as a religion is a pronounced aspect of what we refer to as culture. Let me give you an example. For example, in Malaysia, Salah Jumaat, Hari Raya Kurban, and also the act of Kurban itself, the slay of the cows, might be taught by non-Muslims in Malaysia as one of the cultures for Malay, because in Malaysia, the majority of them are Malays, and majority of Malays are Muslims. So most of the Malays do this thing, the Hari Raya Kurban, Salah Jumaat. So the non-Muslims in Malaysia, they might see this as one of the cultural activities or cultural celebrations for us Muslims. Instead, it is for Malays. Instead, it is an act or Amal Saleh, which is for all Muslims across the world, not just for Muslims, for Malays, but for all Muslims across the world. But the non-Muslims in Malaysia, they may define this religious activity as one of the cultural aspects of Malays. Religion is defined as system, organization, ritual, ceremonies, and worship patterns, which is different from race and ethnicity. Race and ethnicity itself are two different concepts, which related to human ancestry. Race is defined as a category of humankind that shares certain distinctive physical traits. The term ethnicity is much more broadly defined as large group of people, class according to common racial, national, tribal, religious, linguistic, or cultural origin or background. People who share an ethnicity may speak the same language, come from the same country, or share a religion or other cultural belief or expression. These are some of the differences between religion, race, and ethnicity. So when Islam came to a certain places, Islam does not change the race and the ethnicity as what we may mention earlier. Islam does not change those things. Instead, Islam maintains those aspects of inheritance among its people. The definition of cultures may vary widely in their rules for acceptable and expected behaviors, as well as in the ways they guide the development of the individuals, which differ with Islam. Where in Islam, the rules are fixed, and the ways are the guidance for the development of individuals are all written in the Holy Quran for us to make use of. In Islam, we have the Quran for our guidance in all aspects of our life, including architecture and design. In general, there are many direct and indirect references to different forms of buildings in the Quran. The verb bana and its derivations recur in many verses and refer to God as the perfect builder of heaven and other constructions in paradise, while in many other verses it applies to what is built by the people or to metaphorical uses. For example, in Surah Asaf, verse number 4, where the verse sounds like this, Bunyanun Marsus, which means a building that its walls are strongly constructed and cemented with well cut. But this verse, it describes metaphorically the array and tenacity of Muslim fighters in holy war. Regarding the philosophy of Islamic architecture, if one wished to know the philosophy of Islamic architecture, first they must be aware of the meaning of Islam itself. Islam includes the way of life based on Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and because of that, it is very important for the Muslims to link the architecture with the individual life of the Muslims itself. For example, when an architect of Muslims want to build a mosque, they must first focus on the direction of the Qibla, and then they need to know the functions of the mosque as a place of a community assembly, which is stated in the Surah Al-Jumu'ah, verse number 9. Rasulullah SAW said, one who builds more than his needs will have to carry it on his neck. Every disbursement of the believers will be rewarded by God, except that what he disburses on building and sin, and the children of Adam has no right except in house to dwell, a dress to cover his purina, bread and water. So it is clear in these verses above, it presents the luxurious and large building on earth which we see nowadays, and it will not protect us from the Almighty God, and will never be better or will never outbest than what God has designated to his believers in paradise. So all in all, we can build what we want, we can design as much as we want, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best builder and the best designer. He designed and He built this world for us. He designed how things should be, and He designs the place where we will be in the afterlife. Either we suffer in the hellfire or we receive luxury in paradise. That's all from me. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.